Today marks 1 year, 365 days since the Russia-Ukraine war began, and all we have seen since then was destruction, loss of life. The war still continues. I bring you now 20 defining images from the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. Let's begin. It's the largest western Ukrainian city of Lviv has been a Russian target since the war started. City has been under attack around the clock by Russians, including repeated missile strikes on critical infrastructure. In Mariupol, Russian forces destroyed this chemical plant. The factory was shelled repeatedly, resulting in damage. 2 workshops of the chemical enterprise have suffered. Ukraine is leveling allegations that Putin's men may have used chemical weapons against the troops during this attack. Ukraine's Odessa, known as the Pearl of the Black Sea, has been now reduced to mere rubble after coming under heavy bombardment. Russia fired multiple missiles, several of them hitting key energy infrastructure, leaving hundreds without power for days. 1 year later, historic center of Odessa has now been added to the UNESCO World Heritage List. Eight Russian missiles struck the Vinnytsia airport. This strike completely destroyed the airport located in Ukraine's central region. Remember, Ukraine had wanted the West to enforce a no-fly zone over Ukraine to prevent more attacks. In the past 1 year, there have been supermarkets, for example, this one that was also destroyed by a Russian missile strike in Kharkiv. You can see the damage, how firefighters had been pulling out all the stops to minimize the damage. But despite repeated strikes, Russia was met with stern resistance from Ukraine. Putin failed to gain control of the war-torn city completely. But it was this Mariupol strategic port in Ukraine that was under heavy bombardment during the war. Key infrastructure was damaged amid intense battles for the strategic port for the Sea of Azov. Massive Russian airstrikes and artillery bombardment reduced much of it to smoldering ruins now. Now, focus through Russia's invasion of Ukraine was to take control of the capital city, Kyiv. But the resilience by Ukraine have deterred the movement till now. Airstrikes, missile strikes, Russia left no stone unturned to control the capital. Key energy infrastructure was bombed too. But even though it did put residents in a difficult position, Ukraine has ensured the Kyiv city stays with them. Amping its attack on Ukrainian infrastructure, Russians targeted a key administrative building in Kharkiv. Building was heavily damaged after the strike. Several vehicles were damaged too. City had been facing incoming troops from Russia, considering proximity to the region. Eastern Ukraine's second largest city, Kharkiv, relentlessly has borne the past 1 year the brunt of Russian missile strikes. Huge cloud of smoke, for example, engulfed entire city once, with several residential buildings turning to dust, leaving many without a roof. Once known as Pearl of the East in Ukraine, now the city only has destruction to show. One of the biggest attacks by Russia was on Dnipro, which is Ukraine's 4th largest city in the southeast region. Known as one of the deadliest attacks, Russian missiles struck a residential building, killing at least 40 civilians, as per authorities. Key infrastructure damaged, leaving hundreds of people without power. But there were dangerous attacks too. Europe's largest nuclear power plant in Zaporizhia had come under heavy missile attacks, remember, and sparking increased concern of a potential nuclear disaster. Russian forces soon after seized the nuclear plant from Kyiv control, but explosion in tussle continues. Russia has been aiming to seek control of the southern region. Images of brutality, destruction have surfaced. For example, this heart-wrenching image. A playground in Kyiv was stuck under the barrage of Russian missile strikes, creating a massive hole in the middle of the playground. Fortunately, no child at that point sustained injury. But this war has seen loss of life and destruction that this generation hasn't seen before. While Putin's men have been accused of war crimes, visuals of mass graves in Ukraine's Bucha sent shockwaves across the globe. Unidentified bodies found in these mass graves dug in the town just outside Kyiv city. Ukraine has claimed 400 civilians were killed. In Russia's attempt to take the Kyiv city, it was Bordyanka which bore the brunt in this fight because the drone footage shows the cost of the war, unimaginable destruction caused by the conflict, reducing this outskirts area to rubble. Residential buildings, hospitals, nothing was left in this wasteland. And it was brutality since beginning. Even on day 12 of the invasion, a mass explosion had taken place in an oil depot in Russia's controlled region, Luhansk. Russia blamed the attack on Ukrainian shelling after injuries were sustained. Putin declared Luhansk an independent region on 21st February. When Russia waged the war, all cities in Ukraine came heavily under attack, be it on land or on air. As per Ukrainian officials, there has been at least 5,000 missile strikes and 1,000 other airstrikes by Russia ever since the war began in Ukraine. Russia targeted the main television tower in Ukrainian capital Kyiv. In this attack, 5 people were killed, 5 others wounded. TV tower is located a couple of miles from central Kyiv. Ukraine had labelled it deliberate to suppress information on Russian strikes. There was property loss that cannot be repaired. HOSTOMEL airport had come under heavy attack from Russia. It was the ANTONOV AN-225's damage that dented Ukraine. This was Ukraine's flagship craft, world's biggest cargo aircraft, forever now destroyed in the Russian strike. Just days since Russia had waged the war, 6 war helicopters flew over HOSTOMEL and alarmed residents that Putin and his men may attack every major civic infrastructure in the country. And it did happen. These visuals were caught on camera, sending shockwaves across the world. It will take years for Ukraine to rebuild itself. The manner in which relentless damage to its buildings, infrastructure, accelerated attacks in eastern Ukraine shows that it will be time till Ukraine can set itself up again.